Welcome back to the SuperCoach Experience Sunday Wrap-Up podcast. This is a wrap-up of round 8, another big round for some and another big round for Nico. You're back with Mike and Jake. As you can see, two big scores from the both of us. Obviously, Jake's a lot bigger than mine, but nonetheless, very happy with 13-22. I'm your host as usual, Mike, coach of Trip Jacket Mafia, with, a fairly happy score from round 3 to rank of 75K to 6K. And I assume, obviously, green arrows yet again. So I haven't seen red arrows since round 3. So that's the main thing. I haven't saved much trade. So I guess at least when you're burning through all your trades, you want to see some progress. And pretty happy. Jake, the coach of Kiss My Behinds, with a massive 1390. I say you'd update over 1400. Back-to-back Nico Hynes. What?
Yes, it's been great. I guess Nico's kind of been the big difference between a lot of scores in the last couple of weeks. He's definitely found his mojo again. So it's good to kind of captain him the last 2 weeks, because I think he's got about a 160 at the moment, and I guess that's why my score is so high. Otherwise, it'd be probably around the average, I think.
Yeah, I think obviously he was the highest percentage captain, but a lot of coaches did jump on Tom. Like Tom Travoy, which was captain. Cleary was brought in heavily and captain heavily. And it was very tempting as someone that brought in, I know you didn't bring in Cleary, Jake, but as someone that brought in Cleary, I was tempted. But just purely the fact that Nico didn't have Braden Trindle, we've seen what he's done there in the past. And the Raiders looked as hopeless as I thought they were going to look without Fogarty. So realistically, I don't not really a pod move, but really just a bit of NRL math there. As I'm pretty sure it's Sav shouting out. Got the new mic, mate. We got the same mic. Sounding crisp.
Like the new mic. Good old Sav's delivery. Came today to set up, and it's a lot more convenient as well. So good stuff. And just got to get a camera now. So that's next. I don't look in standard definition.
Yeah, 100%. He's still a bit pixelated, but just one step at a time. We're improving here on the SuperCoach Experience wrap up. Some big scores this week. First 2 rounds, I didn't really have any of these big guys. I was like, crap. And then was feeling down in the dumps, from the Ruben Garrick move last week, but pays dividends this week because I managed to get that score. Kind of makes me feel a little bit better about that 100K. And now the guys that seriously want him will want to jump on him next week while I can zag to another bloke. There are plenty of guys. It's going to, obviously, we'll dive into this wrap up, but it's going to be a huge week next week. We got some cheapies on the horizons. It's a week where there are, like Strange and Schiller did so poor. So I say most super coaches, although they provide buy coverage, a lot of us will go to the market. And I assume you're going to be thinking the same, Jake. For us, it might be time to grab a 5'8". I think the Strange and Galvin, I can't go on with it. It's been fine for now. It's allowed me to strengthen up my side, but I think I'll be burning my last boots this week. My early trade thoughts is I want to grab Munster in against the Titans. It looks to be the best in the position. I'll try and go Strange to him. I want to do Schiller to Karaz. I think I'm 30K short. So I've got about 320. So then I might boost and go Tuapiki to Gagai. Or if I don't like the risk with him, I could go a week early on Armstrong to secure both Munster and Karaz. But there's plenty of other guys I like this week, like Tago. Obviously, if you had big balls, Fuller looked great from the Dolphins, as well as Azarko. Don't forget the Dolphins cover all 3 buy rounds. So, I think there's a lot of guys to go up from Schiller, so hopefully got some money. And obviously, if you don't have Cleary's up against Souths this week, what's your early trade thoughts, Jake?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I would like a 5'8". Munster, obviously, he absolutely blitzed it on the weekend. I think plays the Titans next week, so even more of a dream matchup. Again, there's so many centre wing guns that are kind of at primed for the picking. You mentioned a few: Osako, Tungo, even Dane Gagai. And he's goal kicking now for Newcastle, so even throw him in the mix. So there's a lot of centre wing guns that I guess to get the upgrade from a Schiller or a Strange, if you got him at centre wing, is it's just prime time right now.
Yeah, we're going into round 9. So realistically, going into round 9, I'm looking at buy purchases. We did harp on about Penrith last week, caught some slack, but I said Toto was going to go off in the 100th game. He absolutely killed it, which we'll cover in the Panthers wrap up. But Man, if you're not worried about Origin, there's some guys like him that I really like picking up, but more so right now, I prefer like the Isakos, Tago, Karaz, because they all provide coverage. And with Karaz, you get 2 games, because obviously Bulldogs didn't play this week, so that's why we'll talk about him. You get 2 games out of Karaz, both 13 and 16 if he's fit, obviously, and Isako can cover 3. So that's kind of why I prefer those options. Those 2 guys can't get picked for Origin. So that's kind of why I like the pair of them. Well, obviously, I think Karaz could, but he's not going to get picked. You wouldn't think so. Let's get into it. First game of the week, the upset. Big upset, but still, I don't think it really impacted the Warriors' score. It just shows you if they pump the Titans, man, some of these scores. Now, the biggest one, AFB. If I didn't have worries about a 5'8", I would be tempted to go Terrell May to AFB. We'll cover the Terrell May. I know there's a few questions on him. We'll cover that talk in the Roosters chat. But AFB, 116 with a double. And although you go, yeah, look, he's got 60 points in tries there. But the thing is here, his ceiling is so much higher than any other front row that with a guy like him in there scoring that upside, when we've got plotters just scoring 60, that's fine. On weeks where he gets tons, it's one way you really can advance yourself. And let's face it, by round 14, you're going to want to load up on these Warriors guys that aren't going to be in Origin. And you're going to need AFB by 14. But it's just at a root here. Do you what position do you prefer a bit more? In my case, I think I'm leaning towards a 5'8", as Strange is going to bleed cash. And Galvin's not going too bad, but I feel like I'd rather get someone that can. I think that's a bit more important for me right now, even though Munster's going to play Origin. AFP on your horizon over the next couple, Jake?
Yeah, I mean, he should be on everyone's. He's kind of priced himself out for the next couple of weeks with that 116. I mean, he has the same base as every other front rower, but the fact that he can score a ton, which I don't think any other front rower has that capability, means he's, head and shoulders above the rest. I mean, we did have Payne Haas back, but he's kind of been managed with a bit of minutes. So AFB by far the top front row at the moment.
Especially with Tino, and he will have a bit of a jump up, but his break even was a bit higher. So like he's not going to, he'll probably end up around 720, just a rough calculation. So to me, he still could be a decent purchase. But as I said, I think I'd rather make shifts and moves with someone like Munster with his average against the Titans. It's pretty crazy. Sean Johnson with the 93. Yet again, all these injury reports comes out, kills it. He was on a very large score within that first 15 minutes, and I go, oh, shit, 150 coming up for SJ. Not to be. C&K with the 90. Shout out to Savs who brought him in. Good pod play for those that went him instead of Walsh. And then the other big ones from here, RTS with a 58. To me, like, he's just steady hold. Like, now that I'm starting to beef up my center wing, he becomes my 4th center wing next week. I'm more than happy just to hold him because I said that from 14, the Warriors coverage is going to be good around the buys. So I'll be taking, I'll be wanting to have RTS after that. So I feel like I'm just going to hold him for now. It's coming to the point where we're forced into making some of these trades with all these cheapies. We just got to kind of, I think it's a waste of a trade getting rid of someone like RTS who isn't an urgent sell. A try and we've got an 80 plus kind of score. He's getting involved, but it's tough when they keep throwing the ball the other way. You don't own RTS, do you, Jake? But if you did, would you be looking at selling him?
Yeah, I wouldn't. I wouldn't look to sell him. I guess if you, favour someone playing round 13, if you favour an Osako and say you've already got rid of a Schiller, you don't really have a guy to trade. I guess I can see merit in trading him and then getting maybe a Warrior back that might have fallen in price at say around 14. So that would be the only reason. If my center wings aren't so strong, I would be happy to keep RTS because what do you get? 58. I don't think he got any. I got maybe a line break or two, but no try assists. So he has a decent floor and the attacking stats potentially there. So yeah, I wouldn't look to move him on unless I needed a buy player.
It just sucks because they've just hit some weaker sides and just haven't performed. They've lost they lost both of them, which is a little worrying. They're still managing to score points in that, but then it's just like, all right, are they going to toughen up for these tougher matchups? Or if they continue to slip away, I guess that's the worrying sign. Over the other side of the park, and David Fifita proves to be huge for, the 2% of owners that had him. He was brought in by 1,400, so that'd be a little higher. Massive score on the bench. Still doesn't really matter for David Fifita, and yet again, looks to be a guy that you need to grab in your side at some point. It's just tough. With Origin coming up, it'll be hard to get all these guys. Like, example, if you want Munster, David Fifita, if you want this, I feel like you can only pick so many of them. So pick the position that you're the weakest in. I would love an Ola Kalatu to David Fifita this week, but yet again, I haven't saved any trades. So I just think I might have to look at holding someone like that but I'm not against that trade. He's at 787. So realistically, he hasn't lost. He's lost 40K of his starting price. He's going to gain some of that back this week and be almost as much as he was to start. So, he started around this price point anyways, but that's pretty huge for him. And just doesn't matter, kind of. I know they won on the weekend, but he's just putting up big scores. The lowest score he's put up this year is 57. He's a scary guy not to own, but at least right now his ownership's not at 40% thanks to that injury at the start.
Yeah,
what are you doing with Fifita, Jake?
Well, I mean, yeah, he's kind of one that you'd like to get in, but the fact we kind of have a lot of, like, everyone's back row is pretty much beefed up with the same players, and they're scoring decently. Like Angus Crichton was cheap. You've, like, a lot of people got like an Ola Kawatu and Eli Katoa. I guess Ola Kawatu owners, if they do have a spare trade, unlike yourself, they can potentially go that way, because he's facing 2 to 3 weeks. So I mean, it's 700K to be benched for 2 weeks, not ideal. So I guess that's one way to get Fifita. But yeah, man, he comes on. I mean, he's only playing 60 minutes a game, but he's absolutely blitzing it. He's getting so much carries. The tagging stats are there. Titans are looking decent for the last couple of weeks. Like, they could have won the last 3 games. I know they won this week, but like one try away from winning the last 2. So they've improved.
If I wasn't worried on a 5'8", I could see myself switching to it. It's just, I guess, if you've used all your trades and you think about someone like Olakalatu, like, do you really want to be like, if you think he's a keeper and you're going to want him back, is it worth selling him even if you think he's going to play Origin? That's just what I'm weighing up here. Like, if I've got enough depth to cover, I've got to try and hold, because that's at least one way where if I'm light on trades, I've got to be thinking long game and just not short game. But looks like a great purchase. It sucks that the Titans don't have their own 13 buy. They have been playing better because Brimson pumps up in 94, 588K available at center wing. He scores, if you have a look at his scores, he hasn't been scoring that bad in the side that's only just picked up his first win. Brian Kelly, 75, always seems to be a good super coach option no matter what. So I don't mind a lot of these guys, but as I said, I'm not going to be bringing in guys from a team, Titans, even though they're playing a little bit better and they just got their first win. I can't do it if they're not playing that first bye. Like, I know sometimes tunnel visioning for the bye this far out is a bad move because then you have injuries, but I guess when you're just going, okay, do I want this guy or that guy? If one's playing the bye, I'm probably going to prefer him if I've got him level pegged. I know the buys are a bit easier this year, but as we learned last year, you might have had 13 and then all these surprise Origin happens. You've got Madge who's in his first year at the Blues. We could get absolutely blindsided and your number of 14 ends up at 10. You got no boost left. Nothing you can do. So I guess it's just over-preparing isn't bad. There's no one really else I really want to cover at the Titans for now. Bo Firma keeps on getting solid 50, so good for owners. I think he's a pretty decent hold. But over to you, Jake, with very big score up against the Roosters and the Dragons.
Yes, the Roosters look, well, I wouldn't say they're back. They're kind of up and down, the old Roosters, but 60 points to 18. Sammy Walker, now Mikey, me and you, both previous Sam Walker owners. Every single game he seemed to play for us, he got HIA'd or scored like a 3 or a 10 and then goes out, comes back and scores 172. And like, he looked fantastic as well. Like, that's what we were expecting him to be like when we got him.
I knew this was going to happen, and Barnesy said it to me that with the draw that they started with, he's going to go off at some point, but I don't think it's going to be from the start. And I'm pretty sure Barnesy still has him, but he didn't play him. which is absolutely, I'm pretty sure, don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure I saw someone giving a slack over it, which is absolutely crazy against the Dragons.
One of my mates did the same thing. They held him and then they didn't play him. So
I don't know why you wouldn't play him against the Dragons on a big game like the Anzac. I don't know why you wouldn't, but the money boost you're going to get now. But like, I can't go, I wish I held him. With all the halfback options out there, I switched to Hughes for 2 weeks. That helped me. Some people to switch, like I know did you switch to Johnson?
Went to SJ, yeah. So
yeah,
pretty much going 90s.
You can't complain. It sucks now, but with all the plethora of halfbacks that are stepping up now, like, I've got Cleary and Hynes now. I don't have to worry. So it does suck, but.
So moving on, Angus Crichton, 119. He looks the Angus Crichton of old. Non-owners would be killing themselves because I guess we could have got him at sub 500k. And the fact that he just looks so good playing 80 offloads, I think he had 5 offloads in this game. So I think, would you say it's too late to kind of get him? I mean, he's going to be still under 600k.
I'm a non-owner. I don't have him.
Okay.
I couldn't get him.
Yeah.
I got Oliver Kalatu, Kai Pearce-Paul. I've got Elise Katoa. I was like, I'm just looking at my team at what position do I need the most, not just taking anyone I can. And that's how I'm going to get a most balanced sub moving forward. That's been my strat and focus this year. With that score, yeah, he's going to go close to 600k. And if he's a Crichton of old, which it looks to be, I think that's a fine price. We've seen this Crichton of old go up to 750k. And I don't hate jumping on him. Am I going to jump on him? No, because if I was going to make a move in that second row position, I'd probably go to David Fifita. But does he get his way back into the Origin arena with his form? If he doesn't, he's huge playing those first 2 weeks. I'm going to really regret my decision of not grabbing him if he does end up not playing Origin. But it's gonna be too tough to tell. And as I said, this week there's huge trade-ins. If there wasn't huge trade-ins this week, I probably maybe look at Crichton, but I feel like I could have got him at 400k. I'm just gonna dip right in now.
Yeah, it's kind of you feel like the boat sailed. It's pointless kind of getting on now. But you did mention a good point there. The Roosters do play the first 2 buys, so the fact that you can kind of get a lot like Joey Manu. I'm pretty sure you already have Joey Manu, but he's
got on him before he went big.
Yeah, so he's one that people who don't own will look to get in for that buy, but his price ain't coming down. I mean, he's playing at centre, but still getting heavily involved. Scored an 87.
87. Stays above 800k.
So he's still going to be that price range. So it's going to be tough to get in if he doesn't have a low game. Dom Young is one that price will come down, coming off a minus 15. He got 88. We'll lose about 80k, I think. And the break even will probably be pretty high again next week. So one that he's potentially one we can get for a bit of a discount later on.
Probably for owners that he didn't burn. I think it'll be the guys that didn't jump on because
they won't be going back there for sure. They'll be like, no,
I like it. If he gets to about 550k, I guess the negative what we've got to say about these Roosters is they're about to go into Broncos, Warriors, Sharks. Very tough 3-round draw. So I guess that might just be the pullback there. But for the guys that missed out on Marnie, at 550k, I think that's a really good shout for Dom Young because when they're scoring high, he's just so heavily involved. It was just shit out of luck with that minus 15.
I mean, yeah, he does play outside Manu, so I guess we won't play during. Well, actually, Tedesco, there is no guarantee to play fullback. So,
I think he will.
Madge.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he could be a fullback that we can potentially get for the buy, but we're no Madge, so we'll just leave it there. Flip over to the other side. Jaden Sewer top scored for the Dragons, 102. Jack DeBellin, 83. Did score a try though. Yeah, so I mean, he's one that's available at front row, but it's kind of the price isn't going to go anywhere. And we'll cover that first buy. Zach Lomax, in a team that was soundly beaten, still scored 62. We'll stay high in price, but I mean, the whispers are getting very high for him potentially getting a win spot for the Blues. So it's kind of one that, like you said earlier, you bank on Lomax being available for you for round 13 to buy, but there you go. He ends up being a late calling for the Blues. So, I mean, he's scoring fine now. Obviously not one you're going to trade out, but at the price, you probably want to look to bring him in, especially the way the Dragons play. And I think they verse Cronulla next week as well, which have let him
look at his scores.
last week.
18 points for the Dragons. They got better by 16. He still manages a 62. He looks like a great long season hold. But I just stared off grabbing him and went for someone like Garrick. Or like I was just looking ahead and going, all right, who's not going to play Origin? And it's kind of because obviously I missed out at the price. I was like, I'd rather go the next guy that I think's up. But maybe one just before we move on, Jake. So I got here by Hamando. Which May is the biggest sell? So Terrell May. What is the dilemma here? So scorer 29. His minutes are down. Look, if I can afford a Terrell May at AFB, I'll do it. But I know a few of the guys in our panel are keen on holding him. I have Cotter. He's my second front row. Oh, Sam Hughes, I could play over him, I don't think. But Lindsay Collins, if he's back in the Origin arena, like if he plays Origin, there might be some minutes on offer around those buy times, and he covers the first two buys. Like I know he might start to leak cash, but with other bigger issues and bigger positions to catch up, I think I'm just going to go with the avenue of hold. If you could do Terrell May to AFB, done. Anything else, if you can't afford him, I think I'm just going to roll the dice and hold on.
I guess someone, for me, for example, I have Curran at second row at the moment. I can, move Curran up to front row, get Terrell to a back rower.
That's
some people might have a Finu as well from the Tigers, Samuel Finu, so they might have him that they can potentially move up. So unless you're getting AFB at front row, I don't think there's any other front rowers you'd trade Terrell May to. Actually, Finu does have dual, so you can get him as well. You got Simbin cheap, potentially one that you can go grab if he's nailed to 80 on the edge. But if you can go down and get a back rower, I don't mind it. But unless you get an AFB, I kind of wouldn't really be going Terrell May to anyone. But yeah, he's going to start bleeding cash. So if you're expecting to hold him all the way into Origin, kind of after Origin, you're not really going to be able to sell him. Like he's going to be worth 400-ish less K. And getting rid of him is going to be quite difficult at that point of the season, and for potentially 30 points that he might get you.
Yeah, it's a fair point. I just think if you've got bigger issues and bigger positions, I think you're just going to have to. And the fact that at least he's got those 2 rounds of coverage, if his minutes are up in those weeks, like he could be that guy that the front row that rewards you in those rounds. I guess that's just what you're hoping for there. Over the Storm and Bunnies, you ready to move on, Jake?
Yep, mate. Another high scoring game this next one.
54-20. Sold Jerome Hughes to Cleary. Probably should have waited a week and then jumped on Cleary. But if I didn't do that last week, I probably wouldn't have done. I would have had one less guy that I wanted to grab next week to grab out. And I know I would have got Cleary no matter what this week. So I'm not obviously cost me 40 points this week, but looking ahead now, I can move to someone else. Top scorer, Munster, 148. Looks good. With all the options this week, I think he's going to get brought in because of his matchup, but I don't know how high. I think it's just if you had Dylan Brown in that, I think you just hold strong with it. But for guys that are running the Strange Galvin combo, even though the Raiders have some nice coverage of the buys, it's time to go. I'll be looking to go him to Munster. I'll have to boost to do it if I also want to grab Carraz. But I think, we still got 4 rounds to the buy to get out of him. Plays the Titans this week. Great captaincy matchup. I see VC Cleary, C Munster. Like I can just see that being the best combo for myself for next week. Was amazing. Was in absolutely everything. And, their draw has been fairly good. Titans, then they play Sharks, which is a bit of a tougher one. But then they go Para, then Manly. So to be honest, it's not too bad, and I warrant him the best in the position. And at the moment, looking at who I want to end on, so no brainer there. Will cost around 730K, which is around his starting price. Harry Grant 95, rewarding the guys that held on. Scored a try, looked good, proving to be the top shelf option at some point. I'll wait till after Origin for me. Jerome Hughes 95, yet again looks to be good, and when they have their time around the bye, looks to be an option. All these guys killed it. Paps killed it. Nick Meaney killed it. Alicia Katoa, without scoring a try, did such a good job. It's just with how well the Storm are going. I don't think with their matchups, I think a lot of them are going to score pretty solid. So only owning the one Storm guy at the minute, I definitely want to have more Storm guys on the radar. You just can't really grab all of them now, can you?
Yeah, it's going to be a matter of what I can do with the cash I have. Like I have a bit of cap and potentially boosting, and what I can afford, Munster definitely an option. Like you said, I think he's definitely top of the 5'8" options. Para look mud. Dylan Brown looks off without Moses, and he hasn't come back till like round 13. So definitely Munster. I already have Pappenhausen, so I've kind of got a bit more Storm exposure. I do have Eli Katoa as well. So, I mean, that's kind of would sway me. All right, I don't have to get Munster because I guess I'm covered a bit more in Melbourne. But yeah, like you said, the Raiders look mud, and definitely kind of getting rid of those guys before they do drop a lot of cash, because I don't expect the Raiders to be going quite, too well for the next, 4 games or so. So definitely one to kind of consider in getting rid of these guys. And yeah, Munster, top game.
Yeah, 100%. And over to the other side of the field, probably the big talking point for next week will be Jacob Gagai. Comes in with an 88, scored a double. I know the Bunnies look pretty trash and they go up against Penrith, but this is a bottom dollar cheapie. Obviously being given an opportunity because of Monroe. Savs did bring up to me today, like obviously Alex Johnson's expected to come in that side round 10. You'd like to think with how he's playing that he will hold his spot, but Tane Milne's got some kind of pull and just seems to, could hold that spot. But with how low his break even, he scored 88, 55 in his first game against the Manly round 1. That break even is going to be really hard to ignore. Example, a lot of people holding Blaze. I've still got Tuapiki. That's like 120K. That will allow me to get Munster and a gun center wing and have 100K left. It's just if I don't warrant his job security and I'm worried, I could go early on David Armstrong as well. But I see getting both. Obviously, if Gagai ends up making a bit of money and holding that spot, getting Gagai and Armstrong will benefit a lot of other sides. He will also, I see people that need money, Schiller to Gagai will be a popular trade this week. He's going to be heavily brought in. I guess we want at least 2 weeks of it, but realistically, I want him to make 200K. We're bringing him in. I want him to hold that spot. But what do you think, Jake? Do you think he can hold that spot? Would that be a trade you make this week? Like it's going to be very hard to ignore.
As someone who started with Jacob Gagai and punted him after he was behind about 5 different other wingers, it's tough. I mean, he's playing a lot better than Isaac Thompson, Tane Milne, Munro's kind of injured, AJ to come back. I mean, he definitely deserves a spot, but the fact that initially, he played well in Vegas round, and then still got dropped for someone else. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one. You'd really like him to nail down the spot and pick him up and make cash, but as someone who already had him and punted him, I would not be bringing him back in. I'd prefer to go to, say, an Armstrong that looks like he's kind of got that spot nailed.
Yeah, see, it's tough because I probably shouldn't be taking the risk, but I want to take the risk purely because if I do that and it works out, you get Armstrong the week after. That's another way to make money. So as while I'm scoring and I'm using these trades, I want to make sure I've got money to do other things too. So I guess that's what the tempting thing is.
Yeah, just add on. I mean, if you have those players to, like, you've got 2 players you need to kind of get rid of.
Too picky and strange.
You can do that sort of thing. So I guess if people are, say, getting rid of, I don't know, Terrell May or something like that to one of these guys, they're like a playing guy to someone that's not, I kind of don't like it because Gagai, you're probably potentially going to lose a number of your playing players down the road. But if you're going, say, Blaze Talangi to Gagai, and then someone like a Tuapiki to then Armstrong, that makes sense.
Especially if, that Terrell May one, he covers the buy. The Bunnies don't cover the buy. Otherwise, I think that would up his stakes a little bit. But I'm pretty sure they do cover, I don't know how long you're going to hold him for because obviously the tries are bumping him up, but they do cover the buy 2 and buy 3, which is pretty huge. And they also cover the very hard round or 2 of the hard rounds of 14 and 20, which are sometimes just not as hard as a buy round, but still challenging rounds. So I guess it's a good way to get rid of Deadwood, but that'll be a huge talking point next week, I assume. He'll be up there in the top 5, I think. Brought in. Another guys, I don't really want to cover much of the Bunnies, but keep it on your watch list. Cody Walkett's coming down to a cheap price and will be hard to ignore. A Galvin to him could be juicy if the Bunnies turn around their form. They aren't giving any inclinations that they are. Cameron Murray keeps performing. Colomatungi slowly going down, but keeping solid 50s. They're guys that I'll be looking to jump on if I believe the Bunnies are going to get back. And same if Cook gets back to an 80-minute roll with the price that's dropping for him. It'd be perfect for after round 13 to start picking up some of these guys if you think they're going to turn it around. But yeah, as I said, they've got some good coverage. Do you tend to agree there, Jake?
Yeah, obviously after round 13, get some of these fallen guns. I mean, they could have a different coach by then, the way they're going. So I guess we had a bit of an inkling on how a new coach may, pick and stick the side. I mean, Damien Cook, for example, I think he played like 40 minutes. Like when Eels was on the field for a lot of the game. So, but Cody Walker definitely one on my radar. That's for sure. His price is coming down, and he showed glimpses in that game. I know they got kind of flogged, but he did put on a try and look likely. So yeah, definitely want to look at, like I said, Galvin to Cody Walker.
Yeah, and at the minute, while they're playing so bad, look like a team to target and have at least a VC or C on each round. Clear will be very popular next week. As some of the other matchups are a bit tougher, but let's go to game 4. Let's try and pump through a bit more. Manly.
This is a game of two halves. Eels started hot, and then I think it was a Micah Sevo brain explosion that kind of cost them the game. And as a Garrick owner, you probably would have loved that move because Garrick then scored a double. I think he then set one.
He was on 60. Well. Yeah, he was on 60 before that. So he was doing all right, but obviously scored that double off the back of what you just said then. Yeah, so huge score with him. He won't lose a couple of K where everyone was hoping to jump on for 530K. Obviously doesn't cover the first Byron, but Garrick at that price, he's going to be very hard to ignore.
He's definitely a primo end of season guy, and probably this is the cheapest you're going to get him, I think, unless he has a couple of HIAs along the way. But I mean, his price is going to skyrocket now. So I was hoping to get him a lot cheaper this week, but looks like I'm still paying that 600K.
Are you going to grab him? Will you grab him over like a Corral? This is tough, hey, because if he covered the first buy round, it's a no-brainer. You go a goal kicking center, but.
That's a Tuesday decision for me, I think. I don't like to kind of make my decisions yet. I like to see what money, I guess, I have to play with. Moving on, the next two scorers, I guess, Cherry Evans, Ola Kawatu, they're going to face suspension 2 to 3 weeks, which I guess will hurt Manly for the next 2 games because they're such important players. Ola Kawatu, now, Mike, you say you aren't selling him. Do you think he's a sell or is he a keep?
It depends on where you are at, but with all these options that we're talking about, I'm assuming a lot of teams are going to be in the same position. I just don't see it as a high priority for myself right now. I've saved shit all trades. I've got 1 boost left. I'm going to be using a lot more, so I think I know I'm going to want him back. This guy is a gun. I picked him up real early, about round 3 or round 4, and he's helped me come back. He scored 69 after going off. Like a lot of other guys, he comes out and they're going to score a 30 or 40. It didn't affect him. He's going to be a season-long hold. So I'm just like, if I'm not saving any trades, if I trade him, I'm going to want to bring him back. So that's why I hold. But at that price, I know the argument is that's a lot of money to have hold on your bench. Some people held Cleary those 4 weeks. I just think this week, turning Schiller, who I haven't been playing, into a gun center wing, that technically creates another play for myself. I'll play 5 center wing. So instead, I play the 5th center wing, and I'll just do that while not playing Ola Kalatu. So I think it's team positional. It just depends who you're going to. Him to Fifita, not going to argue with you. If you got Jules and you're grabbing one of these center wings we've been talking about, fair enough. But if he's out 3 weeks, I'll have to scratch my head because if he's out for Origin 2, then that's a long time. But I don't think I can make the move this week. I think I'll wait a week and reassess. But if you're out for 2, I'm still going to get 2 games before Origin. So, yeah. What would you do, Jake?
Yeah, it's a tough one. You did make a quite a good point. The fact that you are losing a premo in Ola Kawatu, but if you're also gaining one by dumping someone you're not going to play anyway, you're gaining one to cover that 2-week period. But once Ola Kawatu's back, you've then gained another one. So that does kind of make a lot of sense in doing that. I guess an extra week in say 3 weeks, which I don't see them fighting it. I mean, they might fight Cherry Evans, but
I don't think it was as bad as what it looked like. Like, I understand it was ugly, but he didn't put too much. But yeah, he's going to get suspended either way. So maybe he just takes the 2, unless they really think they can downgrade it to 1. 3 weeks would really sting. I think 2 I can deal with. But Manly do come back after that 2 weeks and have a really tough draw. But with Oliver Kalatu, his base has been pretty decent. I'm okay with it. But I guess that is also another negative.
Tommy Trbojevic, underwhelming score against a pretty low opposition. 55. I think he was the second or third most captained. So the fact that Hynes went huge is a big hit for those that did. It just kind of didn't really happen for him. For
try saved him. If he didn't score that try, he would have.
He was on 10, I think, at halftime. He was on like nothing.
It hurt because I've obviously brought him in for a 2-week period as an insurance policy against the Titans. Did okay last week. Scored well for me as my captain. Could have been way bigger. And then this week pumps this up. Kind of a move now I'm looking at like, he's going to be going for Drinky with Drinky's price coming down soon. So it's like a move where I'm like, realistically, you wouldn't have thought it, but kind of anti-potting Tom this whole time, you won't be hurting with how well some of these other fullbacks are going.
I mean, I guess the good thing is he versus Canberra next week. So, surely in one of the last 3 games against low oppositions, he goes big, and then plays the Dolphins as well. So he does have quite a good run coming up. Brooks, he was mass sold this week and the week before for Cleary, so he's kind of one that everyone's jumped off. If you haven't, jump off. Just doesn't look the goods there. Over to Parramatta. Gutho, top score for them, 95. Can't goal kick, we've realised. And then Dylan Brown is not much better at goal kicking. For some reason, they didn't goal kick Sanders. I'm pretty sure he is a goal kicker, so it was weird that they didn't choose him. Gutho did top score, involved in everything. He tries his ass out, but just Parramatta not happening. Sevo, hat trick for 83, but a brain explosion means, he's probably going to get dropped anyway. I don't think he was actually suspended. I think he only copped a fine or something for...
Yeah, correct.
But, surely the fact that done that, he had a couple of bad defensive reads, probably gets dropped again. Hopgood proves to be, I guess, a guy that we can look at for our second rowers. Keeps churning out big scores, buy friendly as well, assuming he doesn't get picked for Queensland, because I know that lost quite a few middle, so he's a smoky there. Now Dylan Brown, a 64, the try at the end saved him. No, he didn't. No, that was a week before. Sorry, Dylan Brown, 64. Just kind of in base.
Yeah, he's not doing a bad job. I don't think a Brown to Munster is a good trade. No. Just because obviously the buy coverage, he is like, I've jumped off him, and I like 60s, 80s, like it might look like a bad move, but I picked up some good players from selling him, but I wouldn't look to selling. And maybe Ethan Sanders played pretty well. Kind of hurts for Blaze, like if we're hoping for a call up back from him. Yeah, he probably holds, and this is what the halves that they'll probably run with. But yet again, they did lose still. So Arthur will probably keep going back to the drawing board till they find the right remedy.
So I guess one player that's a potential, I reckon he probably will get traded out, is Joey Lussick. They had Brandon Hands on the bench. Hands came on, played pretty much the rest of the game, half an hour. So I guess Lussick owners, Brayley, you can make 80, 90K. Might be a bit less than that, actually, pending scores on Brayley. But, if you need to make cash, say 100K from that, and get, a player that's going down to a player that's kind of coming up, making a bit of money, that's one way to kind of do it. But I guess with the center wings, you don't really want to be playing with your second dummy half. You kind of just want to leave him there, and then going these guys like Armstrong, potentially Gagai, you probably more prefer to make money that way. Do you agree?
Yeah, well, I'm a Lussick owner, and I just don't want to waste a trade there. I'll hold him for the buys, and it's been a note that Hands just keeps coming in and out of the side. Like, they can't make their mind up. So I know it's not good with the pair of them in there. Just the most minutes that Hands played with him in there. But I've got bigger problems. Like, there's just too many problems at the moment, and I guess hold strong. I don't have to play him. I guess if Api Coruscant didn't get named, which they've told that he will. If he doesn't, then that might be going, oh, shit, okay, I've got to play him now. But even still, I think I'd take the bullet next week to be able to bring guns in. Because if you bring the right guns in, sometimes that can make up for an average scoring position.
Yeah, especially if it's only a temporary one. Anything else from this game, Mikey? Or
nah, we're already at 40 minutes. We're only up to game 5 now, so we'll go through a bit quicker. The Tigers, Broncos, another good performance here. I don't really have too many ties to talk about, except for the fact that obviously Bateman churned out another decent score. Charlie Staines scored a try, and 77. I'm pretty sure he's priced. What's his price? 407K. Like, you can't go into your Staines. You really can't. But no really one. Like 36 for Coruscant. Got robbed a try. That was a friggin' try. 100%. Would have been on 70. Come off with a back complaint. The physio put up today that, or even the Tigers, that Coruscant said that he looks to be good for next week. But obviously, whether or not that is true, be interesting to see. Galvin with the 46. With a game where they only scored 10 points, I'm pretty happy with that. I've looked to play Strange over him, cost me a little bit of points, but doesn't look to be a problem to sell out, and we'll have some games when he has a bit of an easier matchup. I think he can put some points on. Over the Broncos, Reynolds had a great game. Both him and Walsh picked up injuries. Walsh was the most traded in last week. I brought him in, fairly happy with the 74. Scored a double. He went into halftime like, what was it, 36 minutes on 10. And then I was watching it with a mate and I go, yeah, he probably scored a try. Bang, scored one straight away. And he's just that guy that can score tries in multiples within 5-minute periods. And it's which is good. They've got some okay matchups. They've got some tough matchups coming up. It's a bit of a roller coaster, but 74 at the price point, I'm pretty happy. He'll have that and that 100 in his rolling average. They're just saying it's really bad cramps. So they should be right to go for next week, which is good because the whole point of him is to grab him at his low price. I can now make all these moves and hopefully he bump up above 700, close to 800, and you jump off him. You could jump off him to Teddy if he doesn't get named to the buy. So, like, you've got options like that moving into the buy round. He was just a 4-week play for myself. Payne Haas scored a try, which got him his 76. Jock Madden has a bit of an injury problem, so keep an eye out for him, see if that creates any opportunities for them. But you just assume that Ezra Mann will be back next week. Apart from that, Piakura with a 55, a bit of attacking stats in there. If they played the buy round, I'd be tempted. Well, we were tempted to. If you, a lot of us started with him, and if you're keen to start him, then yeah, I think you could go him if you needed a second rower mid ranger at that price. But yeah, as I said, it doesn't play round 13, so I probably won't want to do that. But I guess it's not a bad shout there. I guess with Haas back now, the people that do own Jensen that did jump on him as a pod, I think it's time to go for him. And apart from that, this week you've got the Penrith game, mate.
Are you sure you don't want to cover it, Mikey? I'm happy to let you cover it. I know you love covering the Panthers. How about I do Cowboys and you can do Penrith? Is that all right?
Yeah, all right. We'll do that.
Okay, I'll start with the Cowboys. Nanai top scored 104. The thing with Nanai is you can pretty much get him for 500K, and he's probably going to play Origin, so he's kind of one that, although it'll say that he's available for round 13, he's not going to be available because he's probably most likely going to get picked for Origin. But such a juicy price for Nanai. He's found a bit of form as well, and I guess you could say the same thing for Kilikefu Fine Fuiaki. I love saying that name. Absolutely love it. He's finally rewarded owners that jumped on weeks and weeks ago. He's been scoring 30s every week, but
break even at 24 too.
He looked a lot better as well. So I guess this might be the one that kind of kickstart him, get a bit more confidence in himself to play. The Cowboys look quite good as well against you guys. So
yeah,
is he too late to get him? Yes.
So sorry, 4 forward bench, and he played 80 minutes. The week before was a HI, which he didn't. The last 2 weeks, it's like he's been building a bit more base. He got 43 and 47. And that's why I said he's just a long hold. And they go into a really nice run now of Dolphins, Titans, Bunnies, Tigers, Roosters in the bye. Very nice, juicy draw. So you'll be looking at getting drink. I'll be looking at getting drink water back ASAP. But yeah, I think he'll still be a buy. I think he'll cost sub 400K. If we're going Piakura versus Finefuyaki, I would go him. And I would even prefer him to Nanai. Although Nanai could turn to a longer hold, The interesting part is obviously Lukey is very close to returning.
I was just about to add that. I just had a look. He's expected back next round, so that's one that could hurt.
So you probably rules you out of going one of these guys, but even with him coming back, I will look to hold while he's got this 86 in his rolling average and see if I can milk him to the bye. If I can get him to the bye round, he's obviously playing. He'll play that bye round with Nanai out, hopefully. So, strong watch, but I guess big thing here is rewards owners. Help me boost my score up this week, that's for sure.
Val Holmes continues to be a premium option. Kind of has a decent or low score, but a try saves him kind of every week, it seems. 76.
Each week he scored a try and it scored him. Without it, he would have some real sub scores, but now he comes with that 40s. Juicy run of draw. So it's going to be hard for non-owners just to watch that. But a lot of centre wings going around. I think you need to get as many of these centre wings as possible because they're proving a bit of difference.
Yes. Ruben Cotter, 65. We both have him. I mean, he's the most consistent, it seems, at front row.
Very happy.
If you got him.
He's a long hold. I won't look to trade him out.
Absolutely. I mean, Jason Taumalolo, in his first good score of the season, he played like 45 minutes, which is double what he has this season.
I mean, because of the tougher matchup, because it's got to be right.
And he also started off on the bench. So, he came on, played kind of up till halftime, then he could play after it. And I don't know, maybe the rotation. I mean, he played more minutes than McLean and Griffin Neem. I don't think they came back on. So, who knows what Todd Payne's doing? I still wouldn't touch him. I know he's very cheap and off a good score, but don't be going there because he's going to be going back to scoring 15s probably in the next week.
Yeah,
I know we mentioned 5'8". I mean, you don't expect him to get named at Origin, but could find his way to 18th man
last year. Yeah, scary about him.
I mean, so potentially coming by at 5'8", he's scoring well enough. And the fact that they have some all right games coming up, maybe one to look at. Robson, 48. Drinkwater with a 39, which is good for non-owners. Because that price is going to come down. And like you kind of mentioned, Reece Walsh, who's pretty much a 4-week loan for me as well. I'm looking at potentially going to Drinkwater. Or maybe even earlier than that. I mean, they got some decent matches coming up. So Drinkwater, obviously one, I don't expect him to play for the Blues, but one that you kind of want for that bye period. Definitely.
Yeah, if he doesn't get selected, you want him 100%. He's going to drop about 100K. And now it looks like, that Drinky to Tom play is going to reward me in a sense because I might be able to do that straight switch back and not really cost me too much. So jump off before he loses all that stack. Obviously goes into that tough draw. I just think with all the plethora of options, I wouldn't look at, Manly playing Raiders, I wouldn't look at doing that trade now. But, couldn't really
round 10. Are you looking at round 10, Mikey? Because he goes Titans, Souths, Tigers.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's why you need him for that. But I even think, his good draw starts now. If I was in a position and Tom, I wasn't liking to look at Tom. Like, obviously, if Cherry Evans and Owakalatu are out, the Manly could be a little bit weaker, and they have looked to struggle from time to time. So, but there's no way I'm not bringing him for that Titans game. That's exactly why I want to load up this week and make sure that week, if I don't grab Armstrong early, I want to be going Armstrong and Drinky. And, if Tom does do really poorly next week, you're going to have to make sure you have a little bit of money spare. But I guess that's what's good with Armstrong. If he continues to stay in that side, he'll be able to.
All right, Mikey, Panthers, take it away.
I'll try not to go too big with it, but we did mention Brian To'o last week, 98. Shout out to him with the amount of tackle busts that he did. Huge. If you didn't have Origin, I always go To'o around this time. He'd be one that I think I'd love to jump on, even with the buys, but you just... you can't do it with all the other options. I personally can't. Dylan Edwards, 95. Some people did jump to him, and you wouldn't be happy. He's just killing it. He's playing so good. And
it's not every week, it seems.
He deserves that number one jersey. That's what you think. If Teddy doesn't get it, surely they look to Edwards with the form that he's in, which then kind of makes you think, okay, back to the Drinky thing. You're wanting for the buys. But it looks like you're going to have one of these guys available for round 13. Unless for some reason they pick both, but I don't see him doing with all the other guys. Alan Motti, it has been confirmed that Taruva didn't play because of stress with the contract negotiations. Good on Cleary if that is the case, but it looks like he'll come back in. But I'm kind of glad. I couldn't afford to bring in not that I couldn't afford. I don't have room to bring Alamotti in this week. I'd like an injury to come up and him take that spot with security, because he's going to have a very nice break even with his 2 big scores. Sub 400k will look to be an option when he does get named. He was awesome. Apart from that, obviously, Nathan Cleary was heavily captained, heavily brought in. 51. It's like it was like round 1 again for him. Had to get some of that rust out. And the big score is coming. I'm not worried. And I'd be bringing him in if I didn't have him. Jake, will you be grabbing him this week against the Bunnies?
No, I'm not. See, I guess the only player would be Sean Johnson to get rid of. I guess if Sean Johnson's injured or he's rested, I would. But the fact Sean Johnson's killing it, they have an easy matchup. Might be Newcastle, I think, who quite good actually. So maybe not that easy, but he has a decent matchup. So the week after is kind of when I'm looking at moving Sean Johnson on, and obviously Cleary would be the main option, but I don't think it's happening next week.
Yeah, it's just hard because when you don't have him, the closer and closer you get to this bye round, Ivan likes to rest his stars where he can if we're winning games. And then the longer it takes you to get Cleary, that's why I jumped on straight away, try and get as much out of him, because the longer it goes on of you grabbing him, it gets to the point where you go, maybe I'll just wait till after the buys, which I know might sound crazy, but it could be the case. But this is the week where his break-even will be a bit high. This is a week where I think he can go 150 plus with how bad the Bunnies have been playing. But it's important to note that all these teams that have been struggling seem to step up against Penrith. And that's just what, they're the big fish that everyone wants to catch. And I think that's what, it might not be a slam dunk next week, but it'd be a very scary...
it's going to be a nervous watch for me, yes.
Be a nervous watch, yeah, 100%. Apart from that, Isaac Tago, I'm heavily looking at. Taylor May, I just hold strong with Taylor May. That try is coming, but on Isaac Tago, he's going to lose a stack of cash and be available at 600k, high break even next week, and be one to look at. I think he could be a good buy next week, even with a high break even, or the week after. He'll be someone I'm heavily looking after. That it could be when I consider an RTS switch. If I can go RTS to Tago, I'll pull the trigger. I'll do it because it's not going to cost me anything. But let's wrap up Penrith, and I think that's in record timing for myself. Over the Dolphins Knights, I guess that's back to me. So then you can have the Sharks game. We mentioned him earlier, Azarko at 109. Grant from our podcast jumped in, super move, 460 jumped on him. I liked it. His thought process was the fact that he hasn't scored. He scored one try, like how many tries he did in that 5 rounds. He was their leading try scorer last year. It had to come, and it come today. Big score. They go Cowboys, Manly, Tigers, Warriors. And as I said before, they cover each bye round. This looks to be the cheapest that you might get him. They hit that side completely. You see his score up and both stocks store down. I love it. To me, the reason why I won't go him is because Kiraz will cost me 50k cheaper. And with all the other moves that you're going to make, I've got to go the cheaper option. But Azarko, Jake, is he someone that you're considering?
I mean, I was considering him this week as well. But the fact that kind of Taylor May was named back playing and that I had Garrick, or Kiraz next week, that I was like, I'll grab that guy next week and maybe get Azarko later. But, I mean, he kind of got about 70 points in the last 5 minutes, which is kind of Azarko anyway. He kind of does it every week. He loves some junk points. But the fact he does cover all the buys, was one of the top scoring players last year. So definitely one to get to look at for your buy coverage.
Looks to be a lot of Dolphins putting their hand up. JMK continues to score well. Plath absolutely killing it. Avarillo's also playing pretty decently.
What about you and Aiken?
Aiken as well, yeah. With Avarillo too. Yeah, 435 for Avarillo. Scored 42. That 17 goes out of his rolling average. There are some options in the center wing. Same with Aitken. He's an option too. At his ball, he costs a bit more, I'm pretty sure, 558. But been scoring pretty solid. 50s. I'd rather spend an extra 30k and go Kiraz. But try Fuller. 99, 80 last week. Huge, huge break even incoming. Can you do it? Do you have the balls? He's screaming this year's Dream Buller. I understand Hammer's coming back in, but with how he's playing, Hammer might go to centres. It's more so when Herbie comes back that he loses his spot, potentially. Job security.
Yeah, there's a lot of cash to be made, and you did say screams Dream Buller. And I guess the same argument was last year that we want two-gun fullback, so we're not going to go there. I think this year's a bit different because there is more options at fullback. A lot of them aren't injured like they were last year. But I don't know. He looks so good as well. It's so SuperCoach friendly. He has 20-plus runs a game, tackle busts. So it's so friendly, but
in a losing side too. 14 points scored, and that's what he conjures up. Like, looks an absolute gun, but it's just hard to do. Like, if Walsh got really badly injured, which it looked to be, if that was the case, then I might be tempted with a big move. But it's just, you need two-gun fullbacks, and if it doesn't work out and he does lose his spot, it's going to be hard to then go up. If he, he's going to make money fast. Probably with that break even, he probably only needs 2 weeks to go up 200K.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna, he could end up with the biggest rise, even bigger than Schiller's. So, interesting times. But I guess flip over the other side of the park. Gagai, I have a few questions for Gagai. Obviously, kicking goals. Is he an option? 100%. If you're not worried about Origin, he's an option with the 88 break even of 125. Won't lose too much. Does still cost you premium prices. This is just yet again there is some options that I'd prefer. Him versus Azarko. I'd prefer Azarko. They're going to cost you very similar pricing. That's my argument there. Do you tend to agree with that, Jake?
Yeah, I mean, he's another goal-kicking centre. And, he's not the greatest goal kicker, but add an extra 10 points on kind of what he averaged last year. He's up in the Premo region. Definitely one to consider. He's not guaranteed to, I guess, play Origin. Is he Newcastle? If he doesn't play Origin, Newcastle do play that round 13 bye. So
good point.
Look at that as well.
He's not guaranteed, but he's always going to be in and around there. I know he didn't get looked at last year, did he? Like, he missed the team on a couple of occasions. So I guess he'd be someone handy to have hold the whole season, and especially while Ponga's out. Like, they looked pretty good today. I tipped the Dolphins. I nearly jumped back on the Knights. But yeah, if he misses that Origin, that could be a slam dunk. Dylan Lucas continue performing. Armstrong, 68, huge. We did mention, I guess, if you needed to jump early, you could. But he seems to one with obviously job security, looked good. He did score a try. So I think his base at fullback isn't crazy. But at that price point, like a good way to get rid of Blaze Talangi, and that covers that first buy round. It's a no-brainer, and one that I would prefer to do the week after. But if you needed a cheapie, you don't like Gagai, and you need that money to do moves, I'm all for it. Apart from that, Kai Pearce-Paul has a slower game, 44, probably updates a little bit. But as I said, no panic stations yet, and he's going to be handy for the buy period. You mentioned Brayley before. Minutes are up now. 56, and does look to be a good option if you are desperate for a hooker.
Yeah, I guess with Brayley, before we move on, that he's been playing 80 minutes. Crossland's been coming on and playing lock, so he's kind of looks like now that he's got a bit of match fitness, he's locked into 80. So, you can kind of expect these 50-point average games to come out. So if you want to jump off a Lassie, Danny Levi, who was ordinary, jump off them. Go to Brayley, make some cash, but I guess it's not a priority if it's your second hooker.
It's a solution. Yeah, if you're worried about your second hooker position and you've got a lot of the other things right and you don't need some of these guys, then that could be a trade you look at. But then again, I would think to myself, all right, how many trades have I saved and should I be making this trade? Because I know it's hard. Like, you want to save it, but I guess while everyone's scoring and if you jump in ranks, I guess it's you want to keep moving forward. All right, last game. Start us off, Jake. I just need to run to the bathroom.
All right, well, I'll start off with the Raiders because they're, I guess, quite SuperCoach relevant in terms of players that you have to get rid of. May top score for them, 58. Seems a good front row option. Will be available for round 13 in the buy. So I guess if you want a front row, you're sick of Terrell May. He's one that you could jump on, but you kind of he's priced at what you're going to get in terms of scores. I mean, there's some potential higher scores from 60, but you're looking at 55 to 65 there. Smithies, well, I'm going to put all these in a bracket. Smithies, Levi, Savage, for any of those who still have him, Schiller, and Strange. The Raiders look ordinary, and I think all of them have to go. Like we've kind of been mentioning, if you can get an upgrade out of especially Schiller and Strange, who look like their prices are upgradable, same as the Smithies, I guess, use cash to kind of get rid of these guys, because no point holding them on if they're just going to be plugging up your bench scoring 20 points, or if you're forced to play them getting you 20 points. It's not really what you want to be doing. So getting rid of Schiller, Strange, Smithies to a more proven player, even if it's not a player that's playing in the bye, I think all these guys got to go. Do you agree, Mikey?
Yeah, I think I'll hold Smithies 45. I can deal with that with the price. I'll hold him for the buys. It just sucks because I think they do cover the first two, or they definitely cover the first one. So I'd love to hold on, and that's why today this was Strange's test. I did look at actually my last minute thought was boost go Strange to Munster, which would have been huge if I did that. But I was like, no, I don't want to boost this week. But their prices are going to start dropping. The Raiders didn't look good. I knew the weak Strange combo wasn't going to be good. They need like someone that's going to steer the show a bit. Like they're two runners. You've got 2 5'8s playing in the halves, basically, is how it looks. And they both got to go realistically. Like at Schiller's price, 130K. And, we can get a decent play this week, or you could look to some of these mid-range options. So, or if you've got enough center wings, go down to one of these cheapie options we mentioned and use that money to get yourself your AFB, David Fifita, and co. So, yeah, I agree. I'll be selling Schiller and Strange this week for sure. I reckon 100%. I guess if you kind of think Strange is going to come back a bit, because he did get a disallowed try today, which he got held up, which would have boosted his score. But I guess if he wasn't like your backup 5'8", maybe. But look, he's made a good stack of cash. That's just why you don't want to take the risk of him losing it, because the Raiders are going to fall off a cliff now.
Yeah, definitely time to go. Moving on to the team that continues to lead the comp. Have let in, 6 points in the last 2 weeks. Absolutely on fire, and the player leading them is Nico Hynes, 157. I guess the score differences this week are going to be the ones that captain him and the ones that went someone else, which, Cleary or Turbo both pretty much scored the same. So I guess this is what's going to separate the scores. And Nico just looks back to his best. If people don't have him, is he a priority going forward? I mean, they play the Dragons next week.
Yeah, he's a priority. 867. He's beat his break even by 100, and he's going to have a very low break even. I don't think you'll get he's going to go close to the mil mark like he does every season. As I said, he's going to have a minus in there, because he's got a 157 and 142 from last week. He's going well up. The more I look at it, I thought there was some tougher matchups, but man, the captaincy door is going to be wide open next week, and they're absolutely killing it. But the Dragons just seem to conjure an upset here and there. And I personally, I know I can see you going a trifecta, captain again for I think Cleary next week, and I'll look to like a Munster or a Tom. I think if I obviously do bring Munster in, but he's getting hard not to own. And I know you might say Trindle might come back and hurt him, but this is the week to grab him. And if for some reason he does not partner Cleary in the halves, I'll be scared not owning him for 13.
Yeah. I mean, you did mention 13 there. Pretty much apart from Hynes, the rest of the Sharks aren't going to be picked in an origin side. So they are a team to target.
Cover 2 bye rounds.
So you got so many names. Jesse Raymond was fantastic. Sione Katoa. Ronaldo was down. I mean, he's finally didn't score a try, it seems. Kyle Iro, one that kind of everyone has as a cheapie. Britton Nicker has bottomed out in price as well. You get him for about 570-ish, I think. So he's one that you can potentially look at as for your buy coverage at second row.
I like that Nakora play 1%. To be honest, he could be one that you could go to I probably would do that over David Fifita. If I was looking at moving Olukalatu, I would do that, make 150K. If you're jumping off him, do something with it because he'll go on that run again. And that short ball from Hynes to Nakora, as soon as Trindle's out, we see that come back. I know Trindle's not going to be out for long, but I really like that Nakora shout, especially with their buy coverage 1%. Yeah, that's a really good shout there, Jake.
I guess Hazelton continues to score tries, but I mean the price got away from him. You're not really going to be bringing him in at 500K.
Shout out to Barnesy. He literally got onto him right before he went big, and he was like 300K, and he said it, and they had a buy the next week, and that's why I think it would have scared off a lot of people. But super move if you did it. I have a mate that started with him and sold him out before he went on this run. Absolutely be burning because he's fuming. So good to watch. I'm not a Sharks fan, but if I was a Sharks fan, Jake, he would be one of my favourites.
Oh, he's a cult hero. He's a cult hero for the club. He's number one cult hero.
Chuck money at him. He could be our Fisher Harris replacement. I like him. I love him.
All right. I think that wraps everything up.
Did you say Mulatalo? Finally.
Yeah, a low score.
He killed it with the Katoa score.
So.
Yeah,
Katoa got the... I'm glad I have Sione.
Yeah, Sione got the goods there. But yeah, there looks to be a lot of Sharks to target and keep on your watch list. There's lots. But apart from that, I did manage to answer some of the questions that I saw up. Sorry for not shouting out, but I did kind of answer some of the questions just basically in general talk. But other than that, save those questions for the boys on Tuesday as Tim and Sabs return to the studio for obviously the TLT podcast. I most likely, I think I'll be jumping on with Barnesy this week on the All Stars podcast for the TLT if you also want another pod to listen to. And obviously Wednesday on the burst, jump on with Jake and not Jake. Sorry, Tim and Sabs. And we'll be back for the Sunday wrap-up as we edge close to Magic Round, which I'm getting very excited for. But big week. I guess just ending off par. I think anything over 1,200.
It's tough. I think there's obviously the Hynes captainers are going to skew the score towards higher. So I think, just above 12 maybe, but you can have quite a lot of lower scores than that for the ones that captain.
I think anything, 1,200 plus you could see Green Arrows. I don't think the Green Arrows at 13.22 are going to be that massive for me. I think maybe moving to the top 5K. I think for sure I'm moving to the top 5K.
I'm pretty sure we're around the same mark at the moment.
We're very similar. I think we're 10 points apiece. Yeah, we're very close. So you'll jump up a bit, but I think anything over 1,300 you should see some good movements.
Yeah, some decent jump.
There's plenty of moves to make in the next week. So if you weren't on the Hynes thing, just look ahead. Don't let it get you down. And thanks for tuning in with us. Good turnout of viewers today. And we will see you back here on Sunday next week. Probably same time slot we'll probably try to make.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Thank you, Jake, for coming on as usual. And good luck this week, guys.
Sweet.